awareness begins to reveal itself without a center, an important distinction starts to emerge, one that is often overlooked because the two are usually treated as the same. Awareness and attention. At first glance, they appear identical. To be aware seems to mean to pay attention, but when observed carefully, they are fundamentally different. Attention is directional. It moves, it focuses, it selects. You attend to a sound, a thought, a task. There is an object, and attention is directed toward it. This creates a structure, a subject attending to something. Even if the subject is subtle, it is still there. Attention has effort within it. Even when relaxed, there is a movement of choosing, of sustaining focus, of holding something in view. It is useful, necessary in practical life, but it is limited, because it is always centered around something. In contrast, awareness has no direction. It does not move toward anything. It does not select. It does not focus. It includes everything at once, without preference, without exclusion. There is no center organizing it, no subject holding it, no object defining it. Everything appears within it equally. A sound arises, a thought appears, a sensation moves, all within the same field. None is more important than another. Nothing is being held. Nothing is being followed. This awareness is effortless, not because effort has been removed, but because effort never belonged to it. Effort belongs to attention, to the movement of directing and sustaining focus. Awareness simply is. This distinction becomes important because the mind often tries to reach awareness through attention. It tries to focus more, to concentrate, to become more aware by directing effort. But this only strengthens attention, not awareness. Because awareness is not something that can be reached. It is what remains when attention is no longer exclusively directing itself. When the movement of focusing relaxes, awareness is already there, open, unbounded. This does not mean attention disappears. It can still function when needed, but it is no longer the dominant mode. It is no longer constantly narrowing experience. Instead, it arises within awareness as a tool, used when necessary, and silent when it is not. In this way, life is no longer experienced through a narrow channel of focus. It is experienced as a whole, undivided, everything present at once. And in that, something becomes clear. Awareness was never something to develop. It was always present, only overlooked, because attention was always moving. Now, without that constant movement, what remains is what has always been here, unmoving, open, uncomplained. When awareness is no longer overshadowed by constant movement, by thought, by attention, by the sense of a center, something very subtle yet profound begins to define the way life is lived. There is no longer a division between living and observing. Life is not something happening to someone. It is simply happening. And within that happening, there is awareness, not as a function, not as something being used, but as the ground of all experience. In this, action still takes place. Words are spoken. Decisions are made, movement continues. But it does not arise from a center, not from a construct identity, not from the need to become or protect something. It arises from clarity, from direct perception, from what is actually present. This creates a different quality of intelligence, one that is not based on memory alone, not based on calculation or comparison, but on immediate seeing. There is no delay, no internal dialogue shaping what is happening before action occurs. Response is direct, whole, appropriate to the moment. Because it is not filtered through the past or projected into the future, this does not make life passive, it makes it precise. Because action is not distorted by thought, it is not influenced by fear, not driven by desire, not shaped by control. It flows naturally from awareness itself. In this way, life is no longer experienced as a series of moments connected by a narrative. It is experienced as a continuous unfolding, each moment complete, ending as it ends, beginning as it begins, without being carried forward psychologically. There is no accumulation, no build-up of identity, no continuity of me being maintained, and because of that, there is a lightness, a freedom, not from life, but within it. There is nothing to defend, nothing to preserve, nothing to become, only what is, as it is. And in that, something becomes clear beyond thought. This is not a state, not something special, not something to hold on to. It is simply the absence of everything that once obscured it, and what remains is what has always been here. Awareness, pure, unmoving, without center, without boundary. And in that, life is no longer something to understand. It is something that is lived, directly, completely, now. After the dissolution of the observer, what remains begins to reveal a quality that is difficult for the mind to name. Awareness. But not awareness as it is usually understood. Not awareness directed towards something. Not awareness as attention focused on an object. But awareness without direction, without center, without intention. For most of life, awareness has been used, directed, controlled. I am aware of this. I am paying attention. This implies a subject and an object, a movement towards something. But when the observer is no longer present, this structure changes completely. There is no longer someone being aware. There's only awareness. And this awareness is not focused. It does not move from one thing to another. It does not choose, it does not exclude. Everything that arises is within it. Thought, sensation, sound, silence. Nothing is outside of it, and nothing is being held by it. This awareness does not belong to the mind. It is not created by thought, because thought itself appears within it. It is prior to thought, not in time, but in nature. Thought comes and goes, awareness remains, unchanged, unmoving. This is not something that can be grasped, because the moment the mind tries to understand it, it turns it into an object, and in doing so recreates the observer. But when there is no attempt to define it, something becomes clear. Awareness is not something you have, it is what is. It does not belong to a person, it is not personal. It does not increase or decrease, it does not improve, it does not evolve, it simply is. And everything appears within it. This shifts the entire understanding of experience, because what was once thought to be my awareness is no longer owned. There is no center claiming it, no identity attached to it. There is only the fact of awareness, present, without effort, without direction, without boundary. And in that, something begins to open, not as a new state, but as a recognition of what has always been here unnoticed. Because attention was always directed, always moving. Now, without that movement, awareness is no longer hidden. It is simply obvious, as it always was, now.